Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple hours, along with Nick.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Katie's here.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. And Gal should join us shortly. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by VMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Another week gone by. And I just want to say Happy New Year to all of our Jewish listeners. I mean, for everybody, but mainly. It is New Year. You were going to say
So if you're Jewish, you're already in 2024. You've switched your calendar over.
Yeah.
Well, it's 5,000 something.
Yeah. Morning, Gal. Sometimes I've got the feeling that you're sitting there waiting for us to start and then you join.
Well, today I was sitting there waiting for the reboot after the updates to finish. So,
Oh, you mean the Windows?
yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Everything was slow today.
Yeah, I did it.
My server is down. Good morning.
I did it last night, and it did take a long time for some reason. I don't know why. But so far, so good.
Good morning, everyone.
There you go. All right. So I finally bit the bullet. I bought a new GPU. I've been waiting for about 2 years or so. Been looking at purchasing a new GPU. Just haven't had a reason to do it. Everything I was playing ran all right on what I had, which was a GTX 1070, which is try to see when the GTX 10. It's an older card. I mean, it's been out for
15.
I think it might be earlier than that. Maybe it is 15.
I have the 1080p and 1080. Sorry, GTX 1080, and we bought it in 2016.
2016. Yeah, that's when it came out. So you're talking. I mean, you might think, oh, 2016, not that long. That's 7 years ago, and for a PC component, especially a video card, that is, that's not necessarily new. And the 10 series itself was, I think, 2012 or 2013. So it's nearly a decade old series. I got a RX 6750 XT. I went to I said I would never purchase an AMD CPU, and I would never purchase an AMD video card because I had a terrible experience with both. Years back in 2020 when I built my computer, I got a Ryzen 9. Been very happy with it, and NVIDIA is just kind of if I'm being honest, just kind of a shitty company. They've pushed EVGA out of the market. They don't give their so the way that this works, so NVIDIA makes a GPU, AMD makes a GPU, and they sell it to companies like EVGA, XFX, Asus, and then those companies add their branding to it, add a couple of features, it's their driver, so on and so forth. And NVIDIA just does not give their does not give their partners really any margin. I mean, they're practically selling them at cost, excuse me, at MSRP to their third party companies. And at the same time, now Nvidia is selling what they call founders edition cards, where they're actually selling GPUs themselves. If you go back um, 5+ years ago, Nvidia didn't sell graphics cards to the consumer. They sold them to their partners. They sold the chips to their partners, and their partners would sell them. So now the partners are in a really tough spot because they can't compete in price. I mean, when you've got the company that's selling you the card at MSRP, plus you have to add your markup to it since you're doing R&D and work on the card, it's just a really tough situation for these guys. And I think we talked about it on the show maybe 6 or 8 months ago. EVGA, who has been a very prominent GPU manufacturer for forever, announced that they were pulling out of the GPU market because they just were not. They were not. It just no longer made sense from a business standpoint. Um, so I decided to go with the AMD card, the 6750 XT. So I could play Starfield, which is a brand new space game that just came out. So that's what I've been up to.
No, so you've been up to playing Starfield. How is it?
It's great. I'm not that far into it. I've only got probably 3 hours, which is not a lot into it. Um, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. It took me like 4 days to even get the GPU installed. I just was so busy I didn't have time to turn the computer off and get it installed. But it's good. It's great to play a AAA game that actually charges a AAA price. By the way, for anybody interested, I know our audience is full of gamers. There's a deal right now. If you buy select AMD GPUs, you get a free copy of Starfield. So my GPU was like 425, I think, or something like that. But you get a $70 MSRP game with it. So I got a little over 350 for the card.
There's another deal. The only reason I know it is because Shai is all about Starfield these days. Got a copy, and the way he got a copy, he just registered for the Microsoft Xbox Pass,
Game Pass,
or Game Pass, and for what, $10 a month, he got access to the AAA game that he didn't need to pay full because he wasn't sure to pull the trigger, right? And he's played so much of it, so he really liked the game.
Well, he's playing it on PC or on console?
PC.
Yep. So he's got Game Pass Ultimate for that, which is cool. It's an interesting idea to release a game MSRP, but then Microsoft. It was developed by Bethesda, which Microsoft owns. They bought back a couple of years ago. And it's exclusive to PC and Xbox. It's not available on PlayStation. A buddy of mine sent a picture to our group chat 2 weeks ago with him at Target purchasing an Xbox because he really wanted to play the game and had a PlayStation 5. So yeah, it's a very, very popular game. A lot of folks playing it, and that's that.
So Nick, go ahead, God.
Just one thing because of this game, there's something that we've been in pandemic mode.
Uh-oh.
No. I mean, like everything has been.
No, your mic cut out. That's why he said, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, I'm having CPU issues. I don't know. I'll figure this out in a second. I hope it'll go. Yeah.
You're
so we've been in pandemic mode, right, since 2020. Like everything has the excuse of everything's shitty because of the pandemic. Blah 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 blah. Right. And in cinema, right, with all of the trouble that they have right now, right, they came up with Oppenheimer and Barbie, which sort of open up the movie theaters, right? Like we're getting back to people publicly enjoying going out and having fun. And with games, right, we have Starfield and Baldur's Gate, right,
Yep.
which are two huge um, um, productions that came out at the same time, and it's like everything seems to be going fine finally. Like nobody's too worried about bad things in the world. There's a lot of bad things in the world going on, but there's a lot of buzz of these new exciting things. There's something to be excited about. And so I don't know if it's a sign, if it's but it's like it feels like some fresh breeze coming
Which
You
in.
is
know,
good.
I want to add
Yeah.
to that a lot of companies are using COVID as an excuse for delivering poor products.
Oh yeah.
And because the games and the movies you just mentioned, people want to go to the theaters. They want to get out of the house. Like they want to play fun games. But especially in the gaming industry, things are so microcurrency, digital download. You actually, when you buy a game, you don't get the full game, and it's like all of these things that are geared towards the companies and not geared towards the players. Or like Baldur's Gate, like right out the gate, you pay $60, you get the whole thing, and it's a fun experience. And even with Barbie and Oppenheimer, it's like those are good movies. Like you go and you have a good time. I'm going to say the quality of the crap that came out before wasn't up to those standards. And so people want to spend money, they want to have an entertaining experience, but the companies aren't providing a good enough product.
Right, right.
Well,
And
and Gal, you
it,
mentioned, people wanting to do this stuff. It's one of the things that, the reason Brian and I do the Infection podcast on Tuesday, and we've done a big pivot, over the last couple of years to this idea. People want to play a video game to escape from what you're talking about, all of the
Mhm.
terrible things in the world. And then you buy a $60 video game and they're shoving the same terrible things that you're trying to get rid of. It's
Yep.
the television, it's the same thing. It's the same miserable shit that you don't want to see anyway that is crept into media and into video games. And it's so refreshing when you can just hop in a game like Starfield or go watch a movie like Oppenheimer, which I've seen. I haven't seen Barbie. Sorry, Katie. Haven't seen
It's fun.
Barbie yet. And just get an escape from that. That I've stood by this for years. And it's the reason we pivoted our show. People watch media, they play video games, they do these things to escape reality.
Yep.
And that's what it should be. And it's unfortunate that so much of reality has crept into all of this garbage for seemingly no good reason.
I would add to that too. That's why over the past, definitely during COVID times, indie games have exploded in popularity because people are tired of the AAA BS that's coming out. The same regurgitated mess. There's no innovation, and but in the indie games, it offers that. I mean, I bought a game a couple months ago called Potion Crafter, and it's not high stakes. You own a little garden and you make potions and you sell them to people that walk up to your apothecary. Like it's just the and it's like a $10 game that you could buy on Steam. So it's like low stakes, it's pretty easy. And like you said, escapism. Like I don't have to worry about the stress of my life. I could just play these indie games that are fun.
Bingo.
All right, now, Nick, let me ask you something. So you
No.
bought the GPU sort of like uh, on because of a quote unquote political reason.
No, I bought
Well-
this. Well, two
I mean-
things. I bought it because my 1070 wouldn't play it.
No,
and
no,
I think
I
NVIDIA
understand.
is kind of a crappy company.
I understand, but you could have bought another NVIDIA
Mhm.
or another AMD. Now you decided because you like AMD better, or you don't like NVIDIA's.
Yeah, I'm not
something.
super
Now,
happy with them as a
But if
company.
let's now think technically, if you
Mhm.
put them one against the other, are they comparable? That you?
oh yeah,
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah,
wondering.
that's the thing. I mean, if it was a superior product, I would have bought an NVIDIA card. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a consumer. I want to get the best
Okay,
experience I
yeah,
can. So
yeah.
it's a very comparable card, and specifically for Starfield, AMD worked with them. They worked with AMD to optimize the game specifically for AMD's architecture. It runs it runs great on an NVIDIA card too, but it has better performance on I'll say the lower end on AMD cards. And that's why there's that promo that if you buy a card from, I think, any um, verified retailer, including Best Buy and Staples, I don't think they sell GPUs, but whoever, that's why you're getting a free copy of the game. Which really, I tell you what, man, really softens the blow of a after tax $460 purchase when you're getting the $70 AAA title that you were buying the GPU for. It's not just some extra crap that you get after the fact. I was buying the GPU to play this game and was able to get a copy of it. So I thought that was pretty cool. Good promo.
Yeah. So it's you're not penalizing yourself for a principle.
No,
well, okay.
No, and yeah, and it was kind of this, yeah, correct. And if I'm and plus the NVIDIA offerings are expensive. The prices have come down a little bit, but they have it goes into the same thing. They have their pricing model doesn't make sense. I mean, you can look at last generation cards that perform very, very equivalent to what they're bringing out, and the cost difference is it doesn't add up. NVIDIA's killing it on the AI market. That's why their stock is as sky high as it is, and that's what they're doing. There's consumer GPU market is not great, and I don't know why. I mean, they were in the driver's seat. I mean, they were on the driver's seat on the road alone, and just like Intel with AMD, during the FX series AMD processors, it wasn't even a question. Those things sucked compared to Intel's seventh gen or sixth gen offerings. And NVIDIA was in the same spot, and they fumbled. They dropped the ball.
So last, I believe it was Monday, you did a infection. When did you get the card?
I got the card Saturday, but I didn't have a chance to install it until Tuesday.
Okay. So you still don't know. You can't compare. I was wondering if you can compare the usage, the resources.
Well, I can tell you this. The reason, I watched some benchmarks on YouTube, and my card, the 1070, was averaging less than 23 frames per second. It would have been an atrocious experience. I would have had to crank the quality all the way down to even get it to somewhat run. So I didn't even bother.
Okay.
I didn't even bother trying to play it on that.
All right. Well,
that's exciting. Exciting to have it's exciting. It's been years since I've had a game.
You got something to look forward to.
Yeah, and I don't think I was alone in that. It's been kind of, as Katie noted and Gal noted, it was just kind of sludge and garbage the last couple of years, all masqueraded under, COVID is the reason that we're releasing hot garbage. And it's like, no, it's not. It's just you guys don't know what the hell you're doing, and you're using this as an excuse. So it's
speaking of
nice to see it.
The gaming stuff. Do you have an article about
No,
Unity?
that's what I was going to say. I want you to bring us up to date. What's happening with Unity?
Okay. Nick, do you know about Unity?
I do.
Okay, then you could probably talk about it better than I can, because the bottom line is Unity sent out a letter to say that they're going to change the way that they price their software, and they're going to do these crazy fees and stuff. Take it away, Nick.
So there's two main players in town, Unity and Unreal. Unreal is developed by Epic.
These are
video game engines.
Right.
So this is the backbone of what makes the game happen. Like a website would be built on HTML and PHP. Video games are built in these engines. That's what it handles. The physics, the movement, it handles all of the back end things. And so you've got these two main engines. Unreal has really separated themselves in the market for higher quality games. What they offer, the technology that they offer, and the investments that they've made in their engine have paid massive dividends. And a lot of that is actually due to Fortnite.
Yeah.
Because so much money has been. I mean, it's been a faucet for Tim Sweeney and Epic, which by the way is based in Cary. Um, they've just had so much money that they've been able to invest. It's insane amounts of money. Then there's been Unity, which has always been a good engine, but for different games, top downs, 2Ds, mobile games. If you download a lot of mobile games, you'll see the Unity splash screen. It's been kind of the second tier engine.
I will also say too that the advertising for it, so Unreal is usually geared towards AAA big studios that have a huge team of like hundreds of people. It's set up for more robust. Unreal is. Unity can do cool stuff, but it's more geared towards the small studios, hobbyists. Like it's very easy to get into, and that's the software I was learning. They have a lot of free online resources to learn, and it's very entry user friendly. Go ahead.
Correct. And it lays itself out better to more simple, like a lot of most VR games are going to be built in Unity. So they announced, and one of the cool things about both of these engines is they're actually free, which is insane. Now, obviously, if you're a big studio, you're paying and you're licensing, you're doing some things. But if you're somebody like Katie and you're trying to play around with game development, you don't have to invest $500,000 into infrastructure. You literally download Unity, download Unreal. Maybe you purchase some beginner or starter pack from some game marketplace, and you're off to the races.
Mm-hmm.
So Unity announced this week that they are going to for free users, which is indie games and smaller studios, they're going to be those free install, or those free engine users will incur a 20-cent per installation fee once their game surpasses 200,000 downloads. So once you hit that mark, you'll do that. It's 200,000 downloads and $200,000 in revenue. So if your game is free and you don't charge for it at all, Katie, I think you're good to go because you won't ever pass that 200 grand in revenue. If you're charging 29 is typically a decent indie game price. That's pretty average. I'd say maybe it's 39 now. Once you hit 200,000 or 200,000 downloads or 200 grand in revenue, then you'll be charged 20 cent per install fee. If you have the upgraded Unity tier, which you pay for, costs maybe $4,000 or $5,000 a year. That threshold is a million downloads and $1 million in revenue. And it's 15 cents per installation. It sucks. It's not great. But the reality is this is what happens when things are free.
So
I hate to say it, but that's the reality of it.
When I first heard of it, I was like, okay, they're raising the prices, whatever. But then actually having people go through their terms and breaking it down, their language is so vague that it's left up to interpretation. Like the biggest thing is they say that they can track how many times your game is downloaded. But how? Because their games aren't on Unity platform. Like it's not on their website. The games are on Steam. The games are on all these other things. They're even on Epic has their own game thing. And not only that, but they said that it could track pirated games. So pirated games, if somebody pirates your games, it could track how many downloads from the pirate game. And so people were like, well, if you wanted to crush your competition, all you had to do is pick a game studio that has a successful game that uses Unity and then download it 1 million times on a background computer or whatever. And then they would have thousands and thousands of dollars of fees that they owe Unity. There's no, at least the language that they put out with that document, there was no guidelines on how they're keeping track of the downloads. And so it's very easy to take advantage of it for malicious intent. And so I don't know, how would you even track that? Because it's like I said, it's not through Unity's website.
Well, but it's not through Unity's website, but it is. It's you're packaging the game inside of Unity's launcher, and there is telemetry that is going back to Unity. So they're able to track that. I would expect that they're able to track that. The
So
problem
then,
is going to be this is retroactive, I believe.
yeah, that's
So
the
now
problem.
that's the problem. Yeah. So if you are an indie studio, which doesn't make a lot of money, you're about to get a nice, depending on how popular their game was. I saw the people from Rust talking about this, which had
Yep.
millions and millions of downloads, who has paid millions of dollars to Unity over the last decade or so. They're likely going to get hit with a major, major bill here.
Hold on. Retroactively?
Yep.
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what it said, and that's another reason why people are freaking out.
I don't think that's even lawful.
Well, that's another thing too, because they said retroactive, and then the studios have all put out press statements, and quite a few of them have said that they're going to sue or go to court or
Yeah,
whatever.
of
I agree
course.
with you, and not only that. Now I don't know how true this is because again, there's a lot of stuff that gets thrown out on the internet, but Unity, this is true though. Unity had a clause in their terms of service that said if you're using an older version of Unity, you get tied into the licensing and fees agreement to that version of Unity. So if you're using Unity 2019, whatever that year's fees were for the license to use Unity, that's what you pay. You don't pay the new
Yeah, that's true.
2023. Apparently in the TOS now, that statement has been removed. So, and now people that are using the older versions of Unity are now going to fall underneath this new ruling that happens January 1st, 2024. So they went back and they changed their legal agreement for the people that have used their old software. So that's another thing that's very concerning.
Yes and no. Every contract we sign, and I'm talking about specifically every end user license agreement, or every credit card contract, or probably most of your employment contracts. They contain a paragraph saying these terms might change from time to time, and you'll be notified, or blah blah, with or without notifying you.
Mm,
So, like, that's baked in. I'm not saying it's lawful, but it's baked in, right? It
mhm,
is contestable, but that that is the sort of protection that they bake in from the start, and all of us have signed them, right? So we cannot play naive here. I'm not saying that it's still right? I'm just
mhm,
talking about, I mean, legally and morally are two different things, and even within legal, right, there are interpretations. But I think it's pretty established that retroactively things cannot change. I mean, even governments, right? Like open governments, some that like we have somewhat at least, right? They are not allowed to do anything retroactively comes to punishment. So
It's all
so
gonna depend
that
on
part
how the
seems
original license was written. Um, that's what it's
um
gonna come
e-
down to.
even then, because one of the rules of judicial law, right, is intent. So even if the contracts, even if it's a contract with the devil, right? Uh, when when there's something that goes against the intent of the contract, that was laid out clearly in the contract itself and outside of the contract, right? Everything needs to match. It's not just, oh, you signed this paper and now you're screwed for life. Uh, you'll need to fight it in order to get unscrewed, right? But there's a chance that you'll win. So yeah, when you said the word retroactively, that sounds like that sounds like where they're going to fail. They can't. Remember Java? Oracle's Java fiasco when it came. I think Java version 8 or something like that was coming end of life. And the thing is that for a long time, developers of software on Java would stick to this very old version for years as it was the stable one, and and basically did not trust not Sun when it was owned by Sun and later by Oracle. They did not trust the new development cycles. And so everybody got stuck on a very old version of Java. And what Oracle did in order to push everyone out of that Java, they said, okay, your software runs on this very old version of ours. From this point forward, right, you're going to need to pay, you want to, you can still go download, install it. It'll actually work. But legally, right, if you wrote a software that runs on the old Java, you need to pay us royalties in order for it to run, because otherwise you're not getting support. Nobody's going to care about you. You won't be able to open a bug
report,
an issue, bug report. So that threw the industry into a frenzy, because a lot of software was relying on the architecture of the old Java, just using newer Java. I think at 17 or 18 or something like that today, maybe 20 something. So moving to new architectures would be months or maybe man years of development. And so everybody ditched Oracle. Today, the most popular Java implementation, even though Oracle are the ones who keep developing the new versions and all that, the most popular ones are from Amazon, or there's some open source based implementation from a big company that just provides an open source engine. And I feel like Unity is going to see something similar. There's no open source alternative to Unity. I would agree.
No, there is. I was just about to say, there's a open source game engine called Godot. It's spelled Godot, Godot, and it has a really active community. And I get suggested those courses all the time to take online of how to use Godot. They've seen their user base like quadruple over the past week. And so a lot of people, and it's because it's open source, they're saying this was the best thing to ever happen for game development, because all those people, all those really highly trained, skilled people that have been using Unity, they have C++, C#, like all that background. They've just been using Unity for convenience. But if they stop using that and they switch to the open source, then they can start coding their own stuff and making it free to communities. And in fact, I was just on the subreddit right now, and the people were talking about all this new stuff that are going to come out now with people that are just saying "F you" to Unity and going to contribute to the Godot community.
There's also Unreal as well. That's the other major engine. It is not open source, but that's the other.
I mean, they can flip as well, right? You can.
Yeah. Sure.
There's quite a few other game engines out there. It's just the thing with Unreal and Unity is that there's the community behind it is what makes these things so great. Because there's a lot of, like, for me personally, the asset store for Unity, people have built engines within Unity, so then I don't have to code. Like, I could just pay $60 for somebody that has already coded all this stuff for me to build a game, and I just basically have to connect it and throw in my own art assets and stuff. And the same with Unreal. They have a really active community where programmers have programmed all the stuff I don't want to do. I just want to make the games. And the other game engines are kind of getting there. Like Game Maker is another one that one's not open source, but it's free. A lot of these game engines are free to try. I think it's when you like publish and then start making money that they charge you. So but if the community is shifting to Godot and shifting to Game Maker, then you're going to see those game engines just start rising, and with the assets that are out there. So like you were saying, things are shifting.
Well, the interesting part in that situation with Unity is they had to close their office.
Yeah.
Because of death threats.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
That's terrible.
Terrible, but pretty typical, unfortunately.
And Katie, what you're talking about people just going and downloading and racking up a bill for them, for whoever wrote it. This was also done with Google years ago, and I don't know if they ever solved the problem, but like you would pay, let's say, $20 to be listed first on for some product, and your competitors will go and click on it, and you get just so many clicks, and they will click on it again and again and again and again and again until they depleted your credit, and you wouldn't be listed up there anymore. So yeah, this is kind of hard to fix something like that. But
Again, I will say this is the unfortunate
Yep.
when you give something away for free. Again, I'm not justifying Unity's actions in any way, shape, or form, but this is the problem with come use our platform. It's free. It's free until it's no longer able to be free.
Mhm.
And obviously, they feel that they've hit a point where they can no longer offer it for free and they need to start generating significant amounts of revenue on it. Whether that's right or wrong or whatnot is kind of irrelevant. That's just the reality of free.
Also,
Um,
add to
so
that too, the CEO of Unity used to be the CEO of EA Games, and EA Games has a horrible reputation. So now you know where this is kind of going, and it makes sense now.
Yeah, that explains the psychology of everything.
Yep, all I have
Yeah.
to mention that to know. See, it's
Yeah.
crazy. The reputation of EA has tanked so badly that people that don't even play games, when I mention it, that about the Unity situation, I go, "Oh yeah, well the CEO used to be EA's CEO," and they're like, "Oh, now I know."
I always find it interesting to look when you've got companies like this, especially only ones that are publicly traded, to take a look at their stock, right? Because that what the investors think versus what necessarily the marketplace thinks can be a different thing. And when you look at their stock of this past week, it's down a little bit, but it's higher than it was even a month ago, even 3 weeks ago. So investors, and it makes sense, right? Because they're looking at generating millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in potential revenue. Investors don't seem to be that worried about it. So that's
of course
always a
not.
kind of an interesting thing to look. Well, no, but if you're looking at a mass boycott from your service, which is what is
Mm.
being threatened now, is all these indie game studios are saying, you know, we're just going to leave. We're done with Unity. Unfortunately, a lot of them are saying we're going to leave Unity unless they change this decision, which is a very
Uh,
stupid thing because they'll change the decision temporarily, get you more embedded into their systems, and then do it again in 2 or 5 years, and you're in the same exact spot. So, I mean, if you're a game developer and this is scary to you, even if they roll it back, you probably want to jump ship to something else because
Yeah.
this will come back, even if they temporarily delay it or say, oh God, we made a mistake. You don't just do this on a whim. This was discussed, I can imagine, for months, if not years,
Yep.
internally, figuring out how we do this, how we lay out the structure. And this was not a Friday afternoon, hey, let's start charging for all of these things. This is a very long thought out decision.
yeah, but did it come out, on the Friday where the CEO was out on vacation?
I would assume a decision
He
like this
couldn't stop it
probably not,
anymore.
but I guess it's
No,
I
I
guess
know,
it's
I know.
possible.
Kidding.
Does
Um,
does anybody see the the similarities of this kind of tactics um, between Unity and the good old neighborhood drug pusher who's giving you
There's no
and giving
difference.
you
Come on.
and giving you? It's not.
No, I mean, I am still today, right? I am still using Google as my email platform
Mhm.
because at one time they uh, they said they're going to pull the plug on the old free packages that that we were that I'm
Mhm.
as a grandfathering user, I'm still using, right? Uh, the moment they remove the foot from the throat, I remained.
Yeah.
When they'll put the foot on the throat again, I will
Yeah.
try to find a solution again. But right now, I'm comfortable. So
But the
yeah,
thing,
from one,
but the difference here is, and I have no idea how, if Unity decided, oh, we're going to triple the charges, and studios want to get away from them, technically, is it
it's work.
possible?
Of course, it's possible. It's work. You need to convert, right?
Everything.
And everything. And then you need to convince your end user to reinstall. Now, if it's a single player game, one that one does not play on a network, right? It's very hard to force that. It's a problem, and that's why I'm saying when you go and claim something like this retroactively, forget the fact if you're counting uh, um, pirated versus unpirated. Okay, uh, I am guessing that you can get into an agreement where saying, look, uh, we'll track. My guess when tracking piracy, or when not discriminating between pirated and not pirated, Unity is looking for a way to get access to the finances of a game, right? They're saying, hey, I see 1,000,000 copies of your game. You're saying you only have 1,000, right? So you need to give us access. So I'm guessing that by them getting access to this data, they can come into a more lucrative deal for themselves and sell more services, right? Not
Mhm.
just, oh, you can use, we have these and these and these that you can buy as well, and that'll make it even, and then we'll be happy, right? Stuff like that. It gives them more power. Data is power, always. So the fact that they're not discriminating, at least not in the contract, right? Because it's all assumptions at this point. Nobody really knows what the effect is until they start flexing the muscle, like actually doing applying force, right? So right now it's just flexing the muscle, and then they'll come applying force. So um, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I don't think Unity is going away. They do seem to be strong enough, right, in the marketplace that eventually it's going to be a huge cut into the profits of the game developers, right? But if you got, as Nick said, if you got something for free until now, then say thank you, and now look at how you're going to move forward, because they can either pay the fees, right, or move to another game engine, which means they're going to pay with a lot of time and effort, right, into
Right.
developing and ironing out the bugs that they did for years on Unity. So Unity isn't going away, right? People might be angry at them, but they're still going to be around. And keep in mind, free games, right? Uh, what was the numbers? 200,000 copies,
200,000 downloads and 200K in revenue.
right? 200K for 200,000 downloads. That's not uh, that's a very far disparity, because if you're talking about ad-based games, right, that just shows you ad. I'm not even talking about microtransactions. Uh, then you're probably getting more than $2,000
Oh,
a month
uh,
from 200,000 copies, right?
can
So
I say, sorry to interrupt, but you're talking about ads. Unity has their own ad program for mobile games, and they say that if you switch to using their ad program, then you won't or you won't get these new fees. So it's an incentive to
there you
switch
go,
to
right?
their ad service.
Because otherwise, right? Think about it. Unity created this engine. Everybody's liking it, right? They're actually using it. It's one
Yep.
of the. It's the second, right, going out there, and other people, other companies, right? I'm not talking about the game developers. I'm talking about other third parties are making a buck just because you're using Unity, right? So yeah, it makes sense for them to assert some force. I'm not sure that it's going to hurt the game industry, right? The way YouTube is reacting, or X is reacting, or right, Twitch is reacting. That's the thing.
Okay. All right.
And can we say rest in peace to the Lightning connector?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
after many a year of Apple constantly forcing their users, myself included, to deal with their bullshit proprietary standards, they on the new iPhone, I don't even know what it is the 17, the 15, something like that.
15.
15. They are switching the connector from Lightning to USB-C. So now for your laptop, your Switch, your Steam Deck, your Android phone, pretty much any other device that runs on a battery, you will have, you essentially could carry around one power brick and one cable and get the availability of charging. It's interesting to see Apple make that change. Um,
They
you
were
know,
forced to.
Well, can I
well,
add?
they weren't. Not that's not necessarily true.
Here's what I don't
The
understand.
European
though.
Union.
Now, here's what I don't understand, because I have an iPad and I didn't realize this. I don't use it all the time. I use it when I travel, but I recently went to go charge it and it has a lightning port on it, and I
Mhm.
bought it like 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
so Apple have been using lightning ports on everything but their iPhones.
You mean USB-C?
Yeah, whatever. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
what I meant. Yeah. Not their the
Correct. Yeah,
USB-C thing.
the iPad Pro has had it for I think the last 2 or 3 generations.
So it's
You have
like
an iPad or an iPad Pro.
I have an iPad Pro,
That's the reason. They
but
did the shift on the laptops and then on the iPad Pro.
it's just so crazy. They're like new technology, whatever before, blah blah. I'm like, dude, you were doing this on your iPad Pros, like.
Well,
Yeah.
and God brings up the point. You know, they switched away a couple of generations ago from their MagSafe connector, which was their little rectangular magnetic charger that the MacBooks used, to USB-C. So this was inevitable. This was inevitable for Apple to switch away to this. Um, but God, did you look at the data sheet on the USB spec that they're using?
Remember,
It's
I don't really
USB
follow Apple.
it's USB 2.0 over USB-C. The data transfer rate is like 456 megabytes a second, which is
Wait,
USB 2 standard.
Wait.
Look, the main let's talk about this. The main reason they came up with their own plugs, right, is they do not want to pay royalties like
Correct.
everybody else, right? Remember that. So the reason we were getting a USB 2, right, is because they want to pay less royalties. And I'm guessing Lightning isn't that fast. So it's like for them, it's the cheapest way of switching into that connector.
Okay,
It's all
now,
about money.
guys, there's an article from Ars Technica, Andrew Cunningham. He says the iPhone 15 devices have completely standard USB-C ports that work just fine with all existing USB 3 and USB PD power delivery compliant cables, chargers, and accessories, just like Apple's other devices. It
Right.
contradicts rumors that Apple implementation of USB-C would limit data and charging speeds for any accessories not certified through its Made for iPhone MFI program.
Yeah, that's all accurate, but the standard is still USB 2.0.
Okay.
All that's saying is that Apple is allowing which thank God, allowing any USB-C charger that you have or cable will work on an iPhone. You won't get that pop-up this accessory is not supported or whatever. It is a standard implementation of USB-C, but I think we often get confused. USB-C is literally just the connector.
Right.
It is not the standard. There is 1,000 different things that can ride on top of USB-C. That includes data, power delivery, and all of those other things. And that is where every device manufacturer, they all handle those things differently. It just depends on what the device is and what they're trying to do with it. But I found it um, very weird that they are using a very old USB standard for in terms of data transfer. Seems to be very odd.
Hmm.
I'm looking at the data sheet right here. Let me see if I can find it. USB-C connectors with support for charging, DisplayPort, and USB 2.0, which is up to 480 megabytes per second, which a gut reaction, Gal, is wow, that's stupid. Reality is, who gives a shit? Who's transferring data
Yeah.
to and from their iPhone over
Exactly.
a cable anyway? I mean, it's not like it's an external hard drive.
They only need it for the CarPlay today.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not that big, but it's just interesting to see them. USB 2 is literally like 21 or 22 years old. I mean, it's an early 2000s standard. So that's that. But good nice to see death to the lightning connector.
So will it be still faster than the lightning, or is it gonna
No,
be
it's
actually
slower than the
slower
Lightning.
than the lightning? Okay.
Yeah. But again, I don't know. A lot of tech people were making a big deal about it, and I just don't know that it's I don't know that it's relevant.
Mm.
Is it relevant? Sure. Does it affect 99.9% of the user base? No.
Well, the charging could.
Well, but
No,
the
the
charging is
charging
different.
itself
This is data.
Okay, so
It is traditional USB-C. It's regular USB-C power delivery is and I think I have that as well. Let me find that part of the spec sheet um where it talks about charging speeds.
I am guessing that um, remember that the charger themselves, the port on the charger was already a USB-C. So I am guessing that underneath all of that, the lightning connector was basically USB, right? On at least the power delivery and maybe not on the data. And eventually you would hook up a lightning connector on one end and a USB on the other end. So
Right.
the communication technology probably hasn't changed. Not really. The handshaking and all of that. What they are now forced to do, they are forced to pay a royalty on each connector. That's basically the issue here, right? That is probably the worst part of USB, that it's not an open standard. It belongs to someone, right? To this consortium or whatever that manages the USB standard.
Mhm.
So, um, is it? I would have preferred, right, that the world would go with an open standard, but the world is already stuck on USB-C. So at this point, let's make USB-C available to everything.
And
Like
make it
the next
standard.
government regulation should be, right, there shouldn't be any royalties, or the royalties should be like any other. There'll be a tax or something, and away with the royalty, or
Mhm.
something like that, right? But the fact that we are getting standardized on something as mundane as a connector is a good thing, right?
Sure.
And USB-C has proven itself to be the very best aspect of this regulation in Europe is it's about the connector, right? And it's not about the particular protocol, because that is as Nick started the talk about this. That is that is the next issue, right? There's going to be a lot of slow stuff on it as well as fast stuff. There is going to be a lot of uh, high power consumption things and low power consumption things.
Mm.
So um, there's still places to improve, but the connector itself is going to be it's going to be
Yeah,
the
it's
same.
it's one hurdle less.
Exactly.
Two final things on the USB-C standard. It will support up to 20 watts charging, which technically I think USB-C as a whole, I think it could do up to like 450 watts or something. I mean, it could do some
Right.
egregious amount at its peak. But 20 watts for a phone, I think, is more than sufficient. I think typical it's 20 to 25 for smartphones. So that's not an issue. But here's a cool thing is that because it's USB-C, it's bidirectional. Excuse me, it can be bidirectional. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. So the USB-C port on the phone can also be used to connect to other accessories. And what you'll be able to, the USB-C port on the phone can deliver 4.5 watts output. So that will allow you to charge things like your AirPods, or connect other accessories that require power directly to your iPhone without having to plug them in separately. Just for compare and contrast, the Lightning connector, which did support bidirectional as well, was zero point 0.3 watts output. That is, I mean, you're talking about 300 milliamps worth of output. So it did not have that. Or it did, but it was so minuscule that you really couldn't power anything substantial. But now you'll be able to 4.5 watts is nothing to snuff at. You essentially walking around with a power bank in your pocket now.
Yep. Okay.
So,
all right, Nick, are you ready for specials?
Oh, I can be, absolutely. Let's see here. So this front picture is a this was no I watched I got stuck in a rabbit hole this week when I should have been like working or doing something useful. Watching and reading about the Soviet Union's attempt to copy the IBM 360 series mainframes back in the 70s. So this was their attempt. This was known as the RAID system, RYDN system, and this is their EC 1052, which was their attempt to have a Soviet Union based essentially mainframe that did not rely on Western components and Western parts during parts of the Cold War. Thought that was pretty cool. It was, as you can imagine, a piece of garbage. But nevertheless, let's get into specials. We've got a list of a couple of things this week. Starting off is an HP laptop. This is their Victus 15.6 inch laptop. It is listed as a gaming laptop. Unfortunately, its specs, one of them in particular, is very troubling. In terms of a processor, it's got a nice Ryzen 5 7535HS. That's a nice new generation Ryzen, or one generation old Ryzen. So that'll do you pretty well. But man, I don't understand. And this is not just HP. Everybody is doing this, and I can't wrap my head around it. 8 gigabytes of RAM. Normally the MSRP on this laptop is $700. So I can't, or $800, excuse me. I can't really understand why these OEMs are not putting 16 gig standard on a computer when it gets over $400 or $500, because the cost to them is minuscule. Now it can be upgraded. You can add another stick to it, so that's fine. I just really struggle with 8 gigs for something that you're targeting as a gaming or a high performance machine. And again, it's not just HP, it's everybody. Lenovo, Dell, everybody is doing the same thing, and it's really, really stupid. So 8 gigabytes of RAM. It does have an RTX 2050, which is a decent mobile chip. This is not going to be a high-end gamer laptop, but in terms of your base laptop that you'd buy for $400 or $500 with Iris built-in Intel's graphics versus this, complete night and day. And again, only a 512 gigabyte hard drive. If you're selling a gaming device, for example, Starfield is 190 gigabytes installed. That's the size of the game. So you're going to eat up, plus a Windows install at 100 gigabytes. Your 300 gigabytes of your 512 SSD are immediately gone. So I know it doesn't seem like I'm highly complimentary of this computer. It is a really good deal for the price. You're going to have to do you might have to do a couple of upgrades depending on your use case. But for $499, this is a really good deal. You're getting a lot of power for that price. It's got a 1080p screen, and again, it's a 15.6 inch. It's a big boy, and it's got the it's got a numpad on it as well. So this is a big device, college dorm, traveling for work constantly kind of thing. You might want to look at that. It's available over at Best Buy. Over at Sam's Club, which I know some folks have memberships to. Here's a Philips 65-inch 4K Android smart TV. Some folks really don't want Roku or Fire TV. They want Android TV. You can play around with Android TV, root it, install third-party apps. Some folks want that. So pretty good deal on this, $349. That is available over at Sam's Club. Back to Amazon, USB-C, right? We love it. Hot stuff. This is a hell of a deal. This is the Anker 33, the Anker 33, or the Anker 332, excuse me. USB-C hub. It's a 5-in-1. So you're getting an HDMI port, which supports up to 4K output at 60 hertz, which is awesome. 2 USB type A ports that are USB 3. So those support data up to 5 gigabits with USB. And then 2 USB-C ports. One of them is just power delivery. So you would use this as a pass-through to charge your laptop or your tablet or whatever you've plugged in. And then a regular USB-C port that you could use for data, USB-C flash drive, or USB-C network adapter, something like that. This is normally a $35 device, and Anker makes phenomenal stuff. And it's on sale for $17.99. It's 50% off. It's got 831 reviews and has a 4.4 star. Oh,
Yeah. Do note, it doesn't seem that the HDMI is what's it called? Thunderbird? The
Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt. Yeah, right. It's not Thunderbolt standard. So
for HDMI?
Never.
yeah, so there might be a driver install here required for the HDMI to work.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because of
keep
because of
that
the
in
video
mind.
stand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
It's
it's
not a hardware standard. It doesn't seem to be that way anyway.
I bet you it is. I don't. I would be surprised if Anker was selling this without it. I would be shocked.
Yeah, the
if it
thing
didn't
is,
work.
if it is, then it would be like, it'll be clear. I'm looking for it.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. Nevertheless, pretty good deal over at Amazon. Next up, this is a Base US. This company has been flooding the market with USB power banks. I've got one, very happy with it. This is a hell of a freaking deal. This is a 20,000 milliamp hour portable charger. It's got 2 USB-C ports, 2 USB-A ports, 65 watt output is what it supports, which is more than enough to run and charge your laptop. Normally it's $90 and it's on sale for $38.99 with the Amazon coupon plus another promo code if you click the link in the specials, which is available on their website. So you can check that out over there. Next up, Microsoft Office 2021. This is actually coming from Groupon. So this is not some weird, shady third-party website that's offering a good deal. This is Groupon. I would think it's safe to say is a very reputable retailer.
Mhm.
They've been around for well over a decade, and you can get two different versions, either the Mac version or the Windows version, which is important. They are different product keys, different downloads. They're not cross compatible. It's $35 plus there's a 10% off coupon code, which brings it down to 29. Which brings it down to $32.99 over at Groupon. So check that out. That promo ends in 40 hours. So if you're looking for a copy of Office 2021, which is more than suitable, you can get that going. A couple of final products as we get out of here this morning. This is an interesting device. It's a monoprice device, and it's called the Blackbird. And it's a 2x4 switch splitter. You might say, okay, well, that's interesting. Why would you want something like this? Well, with a lot of streaming services, YouTube, Hulu, Amazon, they have pretty small and pretty strict limits on who can or how many simultaneous streams you can have going. For example, YouTube TV is 3, Hulu is 2. So with something like this is 2 inputs, 4 outputs. So if you have a TV in 2 different rooms that share a wall and you want to watch the same thing or have it on in both rooms, you have to burn 2 streams to do that. It's not like cable where as long as you have a cable box, you're good to go. Plus, a lot of folks have televisions in their rooms and then a projector. So to be able to share and split that signal up to 4 different devices is pretty cool. This is normally $100 device. And you can get it for $45 available over at Monoprice. Plus it has free shipping. So you can check that out. Use case again is going to be pretty specific, but if you need something like this, this is as good of a deal as you're going to find. And Monoprice's HDMI switches, I've got 2 or 3 of them are phenomenally well. So check that out. A couple final things. Amnon, I put this in here for you again. This is the Casio Men's AE1200WH. This is their classic world time analog digital clock. So you can see the time all across the world. It's got a 10-year battery. It illuminates at night. This is hot stuff. It's got 18,000 reviews on Amazon. It has a 4.7 star. I don't think you're going to find a product. You're not going to find many products that have those kinds of reviews. And it's 33% off. Get it for $20. Available over at Amazon. It's normally 30.
Yeah, well, you could see the time. I couldn't.
I think you'd be surprised.
Everything is so tiny on it. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's our final product this morning, and then unfortunately I got to run. Here is a lot of folks are getting into retro gaming, and one of the playing retro games on a TV. One of the big things with retro gaming is you want a good controller, and you can get cheap controllers. You can buy a retro controller for $5 on eBay. They typically suck. The buttons are mushy and garbage. The joysticks or the D-pads are weak and just it's a shitty experience. 8BitDo is the creme de la creme when it comes to these kinds of controllers and devices. And they've got their ultimate wired controller on sale for $18.99. Normally a $45 product. So you can pick up a couple of these for $40. And it was compatible with Xboxes, Windows devices, iOS, Android, things like Raspberry Pis or BeagleBones, other devices that you might be using as emulators, arcade cabinets, pretty much anything that has a USB input and supports a HUD or a joystick, you'll be able to use this. So check that out. That is available over at Woot, which is an Amazon company. So if you have Amazon Prime, the shipping is free.
Is this to me, or are these repurposed, what's it called, Stadia?
They look like Stadia controls, but
right?
I don't think they are. This 8-bit company has been in business for quite some time. I think it's a very close design. My guess would be it's the same filament company, the same plastic company that's probably was making the Stadia controller, because it does look very similar, but it's got the Xbox layout scheme with the colored ABXY. So these are really nice controllers. Our Brian was actually, I think, talking about how he's got a couple of these and he's been very happy with them. So check those out over at Woot. And that is specials for September 17th.
Thank you, Nick. All right. And you said
Yep.
you have to go?
Yeah, I'm running out to the beach.
Okay.
Don't kill me. It's
No,
we
no,
gotta
hey.
gotta get our last beach days in while the weather is still nice. So bid you adieu, and
All right. Enjoy.
I think I'm in town next week. So yeah. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you.
Bye.
See you, Nick.
Bye.
All right.
So I got a story shared from our friend of the show, Sarid.
Okay.
I've read it. I've read it this week, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
So Hetzner. Hetzner is a European data center cloud services. They sell virtual processing, basically, right? VPS is VMs on the cloud. They are one of the popular low end ones, the ones that sell rather cheap small units, right?
Mhm.
So hobbyists, self hosters, it's a very easy gateway into stepping into it without incurring a lot of charges. In Europe specifically, I mean everywhere, power consumption has been becoming the major price of running a home server, and so a lot of younger generation beginning users, when they make the dip into this, they are very conscious of it. Hetzner is one of the large suppliers of cheap computing, and they have started issuing uh, users who run Plex on their VPSs uh, notifications. Sorry, I think the notification actually came from Plex saying we detect that you are running on Hetzner, and Hetzner is filing a cease and desist or something. So uh, let me read the copy.
It says that Plex will no longer allow users to run servers at a hosting provider where lots of term of service violations occurred.
Right. So Hetzner have been they have been probably targeted by the probably MPAA, right? Any rights uh, litigation groups, uh, and with takedown notices, and so they have started to apply pressure, right? And they do not allow running Plex, basically, right? And so Hetzner is complaining to Plex that people are using Plex's software there, right? Plex is notifying their users, hey, you're running on Hetzner, right? We are going to block the authentication process, right? And so your server won't be able to, and you won't be able to run your server properly. So this is one of the first time I think that Plex is involved, like the Plex, the company, is involved in some litigious process that has to do with piracy. And this is basically, if you're not self hosting, which doesn't mean that you're safe, right? Because if you're self hosting and you incur a lot of traffic, then maybe, right, this will come from your ISP eventually. But
Mhm.
this is the first time that Plex, as the company itself, is asserting itself into the conversation about this. So I find that interesting. Uh, the reason they are involved, you run your own servers in Plex, but there's an authentication process that goes through their servers. So uh, if that is blocked, let's say by Hetzner, then there's nothing you can do about it. You'll need to move the server elsewhere, right? So It's an interesting conundrum, uh, and somewhat expected to come, right? That piracy cannot piracy will always be chased, right? Will always be there's always going to be somebody who's will take it down. But an interesting,
Yeah, they're saying that the way that it goes, it says that Plex's notice doesn't mention Hetzner by name, nor is piracy cited as the reason. The email simply refers to violation of its terms of service, Plex's terms of service. You're receiving this notice because the IP address associated with a Plex media server on your account appears to come from a service provider that hosts a significant number of Plex media servers that violates our terms of service. That's what the email reads. So if Hetzner has quite a few Plex installations that received complaints about piracy or anything, then Plex says, you know what? We're going to judge you by the company you keep. So
yeah,
we're not going to allow you to be there.
which is
Yeah,
it's the first time I've seen something like that,
yeah,
right? Like that type of language in this type of situation. So
yeah. It says
it's an interesting one.
due to the large scale violations occurring from that hosting provider, we will be taking action soon to block access and activity from Plex media servers hosted by that provider. And like you said, it's not just Hetzner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came from Hetzner's users that got this message.
Mhm.
So that's where the reporting comes from.
Yeah.
And some uh, in the subreddits that I've seen it, the every posting like this uh, got confirmation from other Hetzner users.
Yeah. I guess there's a lot of them that, I mean, that is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that is dumb to
In what
host
way?
Plex
Oh yes,
somewhere
I
else
agree.
and put a bunch of pirated stuff on. Come on.
Yes, well, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it seems like
it's
it's
dumb, but then again, this is a service provider.
yeah,
You're thinking, people are thinking of cloud providers as a replacement for hardware you manage on your own,
yeah.
right? And if that was the case, then yes, then do it, right? Fine. But the moment you put some compromising things away from you, away from your control, this is expected. But when you consider the cost, right, and the risk, if you are protected in the way you're using it, which I doubt people are really protecting themselves. Uh, there's always an endpoint that can be tracked. Then yeah, I mean, uh,
Yeah.
you're not less exposed by running it away from your home. You're as exposed or even more exposed by not having control over it.
Yeah. But they caught up with that, and there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, yep. Um, WhatsApp is exploring a new feature that would display advertising in the app for the first time. A move
No.
a move that has caused internal controversy. Internal controversy.
Ugh.
As parent company Meta seeks to monetize the world's most popular messaging service.
I mean, they paid a few billions for it, right?
Yeah,
It's expected.
yeah.
I just
I
got
would
WhatsApp.
rather I would rather they go back to the old model where it was a paid app.
Yes.
Remember? You used to pay $1 to download the app.
Yep.
That would be much better, but that would not create revenue for them because once you bought it, it's yours.
I just downloaded it too because uh, I never had a need for a separate messaging app because I was like, oh, it's just an extra thing. I don't need another app on my phone, whatever. But we ran into a problem where I joined a game group, and we would meet up, and everybody had different types of phones. Some phones didn't like to talk to other phones, and
Got a
and
solution for you.
yeah, and I ran into a problem where Apple could only allow a certain amount of people that didn't have Apple phones. It was crazy. And they have WhatsApp. So they're like, "Oh, we talk through WhatsApp." And I was like, "Okay, I'll download it." And it's been great. And now I'm at the point where I'm trying to convince my coworkers to download it because we're running into the
Don't.
same problem. Don't?
Don't. I have a solution for you.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Is it Beeper?
Uh, what? Yes.
Yeah,
And the
you got
reason
me,
I'm
Beeper.
saying Beeper is like you get you get to talk with everybody and nobody needs to change, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I like phenomenal. If you want a single group chat, yes, everybody needs to have at least one common network. But come on, it's like if you want to force anybody to install anything new, I say let's go Beeper because there's two reasons actually. So one, yes, it's a new app, and you'll need, and if everybody needs to be on some common grounds, right? They'll need to join something together. I would say let's. I would rather have it Beeper than anything else. The reason is because even if Beeper goes away as a company, even if that app stops working, right? Uh, it should be possible to just shift to another uh, matrix server. And so the technology behind it, theoretically, right, is so open and so robust that should be like a no-brainer at this point. If you need to come up with one new thing, at least go to with one thing that actually interconnects everything else.
Mhm. And
And that's
Beeper
why
is
I say
a
Beeper.
paid program?
For now, it's free. They are coming out with a premium offering soon. They're building to it. It used to be paid, but and now it's free.
Okay.
Uh, it is a problem to get in. The only way to actually get in right now is by invites.
Yeah, yeah, you got
Uh,
me into Beeper, and I was
yeah.
using it, and it was great, and then it got disconnected from something, and I just haven't pulled it back together. I was lazy.
Yeah. So if you haven't used it for a month, they've deleted your boxes, your mailboxes, and
Oh,
so you'll just need to spin that up again.
okay.
It's not a problem, right? But you'll start from scratch, sort of. And I
Mhm.
think that's fair. I think
Yeah.
that's actually excellent
Yeah, then that way
because
they're
it
not
also
using
means they do
storage.
not keep your data
Yeah, yeah,
for
that's
longer
fine.
than they should. And yeah, and I mean they are a small company right now, but they have excellent support. What I mean by excellent support is while after you install the app, right? If something doesn't work the way you expected, you literally have your own personal support channel there where you just ask a question and a person answers. It actually works. They are very quick to respond. Um, I have only good things to say about them.
They
Yes, I'm biased.
care.
I got it.
They
What's
care.
that?
They
For now,
care.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they're new. They're a budding company, but they're doing it right, right?
Yeah.
So, will they succeed? Will they be the one that that will shine? I don't know. I really don't know. I hope for I hope so because I like what they're doing, and I am actually waiting for their premium offering, and if it'll be priced reasonably, I will definitely buy in if it will allow me multiple channels of the same thing. So let's say having two WhatsApp accounts, right, instead of just a single one. That would make my life a lot easier. I need to have a phone line connected to Israel. for customer services in Israel, they use WhatsApp, and it's a phenomenal uh, communication channel for services because it's peer to peer, right, point to point, very convenient and safe, secure. Like they know who I am, I know that that's them. So I mean, I wish they use Signal, but they're not. They're using WhatsApp. But in order for me to use it on my regular phone, right, I can't because I don't have that additional line installed on this phone. I have it on a separate phone. So stuff like that, like Beeper will make it easier to juggle a lot of channels. Right now, I have all of the channels they offer hooked up, and I think there's like 12 different chat networks that they have, right? Um, and yeah, so I know I rave about them a lot, but they have really been good to me. And yes, there's disconnections from time to time, and they're on it. Like you see that those disconnections they go away in less than a couple of hours. So yeah, uh, terrific uh, chat centric solution for everything. So if
And
you need to force somebody to change habits, right? I would say try doing it through Beeper instead of going to one of the old networks.
and talking about Signal, this year the EFF also gave its reward for communications policy to the Signal Foundation.
Hmm.
Since 2013, with the release of the unified app and the game changing Signal protocol, Signal has set the bar for private digital communications. With its flagship product, Signal Messenger, Signal provides real communication privacy, offering easy to use technology that refuses the surveillance business model on which the tech industry is built. To ensure that the public doesn't have to take Signal's word for it, Signal publishes their code and documentation openly and licenses their core privacy technology to allow others to add privacy to their own product. So they got the EFF award for communication policy this
Well, that's good. I mean,
year. Yeah,
because remember, they don't charge anything, right?
right.
So it's all donations. They are
They're
they are
501.
running on donations,
Yeah,
and for now they're doing good job, and they're still afloat. So yeah,
yep,
I'm
yep, absolutely. No, there's the,
I must say, it is hard to bring people on board to Signal.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's hard because it's and it's to no fault of their own. It's like they are supplying something that most people are just they don't really care about. Unfortunate, right? But
Until something
that's
happens.
right. When something happens, then you can pull people in for a bit, right? Like
Mhm.
when WhatsApp, maybe now with WhatsApp ads, like Signal would get a small boost, but
Maybe.
maybe, yeah.
Now, here is something that was always a buzz around this. So, Apple has agreed to install updates for the iPhone 12 in France after French regulators ordered the company to stop selling the model because it emits electromagnetic radiation levels that exceed European Union standards. The company, which just unveiled its newest generation of iPhones, insists the 12th model is safe and the phones have been certified in countries around the world since its introduction in 2020. There were some other articles that said that more and more countries are now filing suit against them because of this, though. Um, it says the problem raised by the French government agency that manages wireless communications frequencies is related to a specific testing protocol. Now, if there's any testing protocol that shows that you're putting a lot of electromagnetic radiation out there. I mean, stop arguing it. Do something about it if you can. I mean, people always say, if you use the phone and you hold it to your ear, this is from, I mean, 20 years ago, even, that there was radiation coming out of it, and it was always kind of brushed aside.
Yeah, I
Here's
mean, but
something.
there's still I'm not saying the French are wrong,
Yeah,
right? They might be the only one who are right, and all of the rest are just shams. I do not know.
I don't know.
I have no saying, but there is always room to also question the testing process if your testing process is different than the others. So it really depends. Now, if others are following suit, right, then that's interesting. But why 5 years after the phone came out, right? That's the question I'm asking.
That's
Like,
maybe because France did it first, and then the other ones are following suit. I don't know. But my
right,
point
but
but my point is, if you can fix it with just some kind of software update,
oh, yes. Oh, definitely.
come
I
on.
would agree. But then why are you issuing it only to France?
Well, so far, France is the one that said, hey, they told everybody in France, stop selling it. So that hurts them in the pocketbook. So they doing something about it. It's it's an interesting situation. We'll have to follow it and see if, now that more countries are jumping on this bandwagon, if they're going
Wonder
to put it other places, and why don't they do it here?
Well, I wonder what is the problem, right? They're probably shutting down something through software,
I don't know.
right? Some hardware component. Otherwise,
I know
like,
that, yeah. I But
yeah,
the point is that they're, yeah, and we'll have to wait and see if that makes the iPhone less effective, as far as coverage or whatever. This is the beginning of that. We'll see. Um, Now let's go something to home automation. iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. They're featuring USB-C ports, titanium bodies, and action button. They're also the first smartphones to support the open source smart home protocol Thread. I
yeah,
never heard
Matter.
about it. What?
Yeah, you heard about Matter?
Yeah.
Thread is the protocol.
Okay. Um, The Verge, Jennifer Patterson explains how Apple might deploy this wireless connectivity protocol in its ecosystem. The obvious use for Thread is the iPhone is a Thread border router for the slew of new Apple Home and Matter enabled Thread smart home devices from companies like Eve, Nanoleaf, and Belkin Wemo. This would mean you would have to have a HomePod Mini, Apple TV 4K, or other Thread border router to use Thread smartphone gadgets with your iPhone. Um,
Yeah, that's true. But keep in mind that Matter and Thread are picking up. So I am guessing that in 3 to 5 years, uh, with the amount of industry enthusiasm right now around it,
mhm.
and understand the enthusiasm started pre-pandemic, right?
Right.
It's just we're just now starting to see products that are coming out with this baked in. So yeah, this is a huge boost for that open protocol, which is pretty unique for Apple to adopt an open protocol this early. They usually come in very late with open protocols, right? So that's a good thing for the protocol and ecosystem in general, as long as they stay within the open standards, because they have a history of just deviating out of it and making it hell for the rest. So it'll be interesting seeing Apple working well with others, but not holding my hopes up.
Oh, and let me ask you, how old? I don't. I mean, well, it's about 3. How popular is the Pixel Watch?
I haven't heard of it, so I don't know.
Never mind. Apple is saying, not Apple. Google says that if you break the screen, forget it. There's no replacement. Nobody can replace it.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure.
What, on the
It's
Apple
it's a matter
Watch?
of cost, right? But I
I don't
guess
know. They're saying they were telling people good. Um, if your watch is damaged, you can contact the Google Pixel Watch customer support team to check your replacement options. Replacement options.
Yeah,
There's
they want you
no
to buy a new one.
no repairing. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they're not a hardware company. Let's not expect them to be a hardware company. I do
Huh?
not, I cannot, I'm sorry, right? I like their software products. I hate venomously their hardware products because pretty much the same way I do not like Apple products. They are limited. They are they're great as long as it does what you want, right? But the moment it needs to do something a bit out of the box, they are they're terrible. They
Huh?
are forcing you to a specific way of working, and it's the same thing. And they used to be the pioneers of open everything, right?
Open
But
everything.
but it's not like their APIs are they are now the pioneers of can we charge on? Can we charge it? Can we charge
Mm,
for it? Like so, yeah, fine. Use them if you are willing to charge to pay the charges, but they are not in any way the top tier of anything anymore. They might be pushing the envelope, and I mean I'm grateful for that, but I'm not gonna buy into their world. So um, I have the same complaint about their hardware as I have for Apple or Samsung, right? It's like keep churning out open-ended pieces of hardware. Keep doing that, you'll keep me interested. But I don't count apparently, right? I'm not that important. My type of thinking, my like the type of people like me, we're not important, fortunately.
um, John has a question. Said, has anyone looked into switching from passwords to passkeys?
Uh, yeah, it's too early, I think. I've seen it. I haven't bothered yet.
Yeah, I didn't do anything about it either. And not
Well, you're not
everybody.
even using a password manager, Amnon. We need to fix that.
Yeah, I know. But I don't think everybody is uh, providing passkeys. You have to have.
No, no, that's why I'm saying it's too early. There,
Yeah.
there are a few services that do that. Um, I will probably do the shift when it'll be easy for my password manager to deal with. And I think my password manager has the option to do it. I haven't tested it because I'm not there's not a lot that I see that needs it. Keep in mind, right, that there's some centralization here that I am not sure I'm comfortable with at this point because I do not trust the those who implement it on their end yet. So that's why I'm hesitant. Right?
Oh,
Like if it was on specific services that I know that are disconnected from other services, right? That identity isn't that important to me. Maybe that's where I'll start playing. Even if my bank comes up with a passkey or or my email, I will still not use it at this point because I am not certain yet how it's going to affect the rest of my logins, the rest of the ecosystem that I hook into. If that makes any sense.
No, it does.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah.
That's why I'm hesitant. I'm not an early adopter when it comes to security.
Yeah, that's good because security right now is more important to be solid than to go to something new that you're not sure about. Absolutely.
Right.
I've got one more thing to talk about real quick. So I'm using voice over IP for my free telephone line, and I'm using the OB High
Hmm.
2 ports. I have two of them, and one of them has just one line, and the other one has both lines. Last Saturday with the storm, it's the only thing I can attribute it to. The port for the main line, my Delta Force number, died.
Okay.
And I started looking, and those things are not cheap now, those boxes. They
They
used
used to
to
be
be.
$70, but
Yeah.
it's probably 200 now,
Now,
right?
yeah,
Something like
about
that.
149, 179. Yeah. So I'm also using Obitalk
Okay.
to do it to get the service. So I called Anvio, which always been great. And Dennis was telling me, I don't know if it's an Obitalk special plan, like when you go with Obitalk, you have to have an Obi High. Because I saw on
Right.
Amazon, like they have Grand Stream. It's for about 40 some dollars for two lines. Let's see who that is. Says anonymous, but it's hello.
40 some dollars.
Hello.
Two lines.
Robocall, you can drop it.
Yeah. So it's you have. I said, well, yeah, I can buy something like this and use it, but he said no. All right. I decided. I said, wait a second. What am I doing? I have one box that has only port number one being used. I can just have them move that main number to the second port on the second box, which is
Okay. Yeah.
usable.
Yeah.
So I called and they said, yeah, that thing turned into almost a whole week of an ordeal because the
What?
support with Envio is through ticketing. And these guys, either I didn't explain it right, or they were thinking all kind of things. Oh, you have to cancel this account, you have to add this account, you have to do this.
Both boxes are OB High.
Yeah, they're all the same. Both of them 202s.
Why did you need somebody else to help you with this? That's what I'm not understanding.
Well,
Like,
because I never done it, and they are the providers, so I'm getting in touch with them.
but
But wait,
OB
now
High you manage on your own.
I called OBI and support, which was great. They have support and talk to them. And when they started helping me, they said, wait a second, that line is not registered on the second box. You have to go to Anvio and you have to register because it's SIP. You have to register that line to be on this OBI. Okay.
Right. It's just username password, right?
Yeah. So and again, I don't know anything about it. So I back to Anvio and telling them, and they said, oh, so you have to do this and this and this. And of course, the instructions they send you are screenshots from their instructions, which have certain things highlighted. And I'm figuring that's what I have to do. It's not for some reason. So I called back and I said, look, I follow everything. It's not doing it. Well, one day, the good thing about it, the whole ordeal is that 852-2121, if I don't answer it or if it's busy, it forwards to my cell phone. So I wasn't missing any phone calls, but it just, you know, finally on Friday morning, I got it to work. Another guy came on the help and he actually wrote the instructions. He said, yeah, I'm sorry about this here. Just do this, then do this, then do this. Then... Okay, here, it worked. The problem that I'm having now is that line, that port, instead of ringing normally, goes ring, 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 ring. And it's really a bad ring on my wireless phone that I'm using. So I'm trying to find out, okay, is it's distinctive ringing. Like, okay, is that coming from Anvio? He says, no, this is coming from Obi. This is from the service, from the Obi High thing. So I went and looking for where's distinctive. There is distinctive ringing, but it's not straightforward. I changed it and it completely killed it. So I put it back. I'm waiting to call them tomorrow. Then I'm looking and saying, well, maybe it's coming from my phone. So I went and looking, but the phone does not have distinctive ringing. Even though it's a 4-line phone, it's no distinctive ringing. So it was just, it's going and going and going. And I'm saying, geez, why can't tech support treat you like you don't know anything? Like that new guy
It
that came
really
on Friday.
depends what you're talking about.
Well,
Uh,
I explained it twice in a
yeah.
long. And the other thing that frustrated is you go to the ticketing and you answer a question and you write a long reply.
Yeah, nobody reads.
Wait, not that.
Nobody
And then you
reads.
submit it and it says, oh, you timed out. You have to sign in again. You sign in again and everything that you ordered is gone.
So that's
So,
all technology. Yeah.
well, so I started copying it.
There's a very easy way around this, right? One of the first thing you need to install on your browser, if it's Edge, Chrome, or anything like that,
Firefox.
it's a plugin called Formalizer. For Firefox, there is a plugin called Form History something.
Okay, well,
These
interesting.
they remember what you entered in any field for the past week
Okay,
for you
that's okay. Yeah,
on your machine, right?
yeah.
Yeah. No, I all the websites
Well, I got
haven't
used
really
to,
been
after a
but yeah.
couple of times, I started saving it, copying it to the
Yeah.
clipboard every so many
Yeah.
minutes. But yeah, that's also, it frustrates you. But I explained to them, I said, the port died. I want to move that phone line from this
See,
port.
you started by confusing them.
Yeah, now you, okay, fine. So
Right? The
wait,
port
wait,
died has nothing to do with
wait,
with
wait,
with
wait
them.
a second. Wait a second. Let's say that I did confuse them, but it comes from the fact that everything was working okay for years. I forgot what to do with the Obi High, so
Yeah,
I'm
that has
telling them, wait. So
So
just like you're doing right now, he should have said, Amnon, this has nothing to do with us. You can fix that yourself. That's what I would expected.
no, what I mean is when you reach out support,
Yeah,
right? And you write a story,
yeah.
nobody reads the story.
Well,
They are scanning for specific phrases. You wrote the port died. That is the first problem they see. That is where their mind is hooked up. Now,
Mm.
that's bad support.
Yeah.
That's on them, right? But this is my tip to you as a person needing support. Focus on the relevant facts only After you stated the relevant facts and your request, only then start telling a story, right? You want to
Yeah.
tell the story? Fine, tell the story, but start by the relevant facts. I have a line defined on one box. I need to move it to another box, right? That is all you need,
Yeah.
right? That is the facts and what you need. Now, you want to tell why
No,
that
no,
is
no,
good,
no,
that
no,
is
no.
excellent for
The
me,
the
supporting you, that is fantastic, but only after I know what you need.
yeah, but
Because
in the beginning, actually, that's what I did. I said I need to move a line from one OB to the second. That's all I said.
okay,
That was the first one. So they came to me and I can't remember what they asked. So I gave him more. At one point, I gave him the whole story. I said, "Here, this is what happened," but it was like not the story,
yeah, yeah.
not in a story, but in a bullet points.
No, that's
I want
fine.
this,
I know
then
you
I
know
want
how to,
this,
yeah.
then I want this. It finally worked, and but now I need to find out that distinctive ring, and I can't figure that out. So I'll call Obi tomorrow and find out. But yeah, that's this. This was really really frustrating. Yeah, that I guess you're right. I mean, I was immersed in it for 2 days, and when I got to them, I gave them everything.
Yeah,
So
that's it's a problem.
yeah,
It's a problem in the support world, being like, I've worked in the industry for 15 years, and even when you're working with highly skilled IT people, right?
hmm
You're expecting that they will have a similar vocabulary to yours, and that does not exist. It is awful, right? The technical terms, the semantics, they're off. They're always off. So when you communicate with somebody new that you do not know their level, you need to you need to mansplain, basically, right? Uh, it's terrible, right? But it's the only way in order to. This is the first 2 years of college, right? Which are useless because it's everybody getting into basically building a new language, right? And then in the next 2 years, right? That is when you start gaining an education. Every customer support discussion needs to start with that first 2 years of college, and we hate it. Most of us hate that first 2 years of college, that initial part of the talk where we know we're going to spend 10 minutes on the phone, right? Because we already know the vocabulary of the other end. They have zero knowledge. Sometimes they have zero knowledge uh, of it properly because they are just first year, right? And
right.
so they must go through the motions, and there's no way around that other than actually knowing your customers and
Uh,
working, right? I mean, you know most of your customers, and you know how to speak to each one of them,
right.
and each one of them you speak differently, right? That does not exist in mass customer support. That is not an option. So
Yeah, it was frustrating. Yeah.
I agree. I
Anyway,
agree.
but yeah, that's about it. Anything else, Katie? Do you have something you wanted to?
No, the biggest thing for me was Unity, and still love my 3D printer. Been printing like crazy still.
Yeah, show us, show everybody those.
Oh, so I made a figure. Well, I made a bunch of
Ooh,
figures. I do D&D, so this is um a runic golem or whatever. Painted it myself. And then of course I've got this guy, my big dragon. Also painted it, 3D printed, and then the Sphinx.
and you're selling these?
No, well, I could, but no, these I just made for fun because I really like model building and I like painting. Um, that's what's crazy about this 3D printer, like the power and joy I have when I'm just like, You know what? I've got some time. I need to think of what I want to paint. Oh, and here we go. I printed something practical. It's a tray to hold my paints.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
yeah, yeah. So it holds my come back
But
camera. There we go. Don't talk, hold on. It holds my paints, and then in the back there's little cavities for the paintbrushes. Okay, now you can talk.
now you saying you're
That is
not selling it. Wait a second.
Yeah.
But you are going to.
I mean I could.
What? Wait,
Uh,
wait, wait. Hold it. What is that whole talk about printer farm? For what? For yourself?
No, no, not for these are character models.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sell like character models. Well I could, but the character models take a lot of time and effort. But this is what
Which
I'm
means more money.
yeah, yeah. And this is what I'm making are terrain pieces that the characters can interact with. This is like a column. And I also made this. Well, my friend did the model, but this is a mug with a dice tower, and so you could put your soda and your drink right here. And while you're playing your games, you just pop the die in, and it rolls out. So, and I painted this too. The camera doesn't do it justice, but I washed it with a metallic paint, so it looks like copper. Um,
cool.
Nice.
but yeah, been having fun making a bunch of stuff for a hobbyist that enjoys this stuff. It's like this is like my new crack, my new addiction.
Awesome.
How many?
And I mean, it's sort of a plug, not for me, but GalaxyCon Rally has started selling tickets. So if you want to see Katie's stuff in
I'll be
next
there.
summer, yeah.
And you don't even have to wait till next summer. GalaxyCon, the same people that are doing GalaxyCon are also doing another con in January called Animate. It's run by the same group, but it's focusing more on cartoons and animation in the industry and comic books and stuff like that versus film and TV, unless it's obviously a cartoon. But I'll be there. So that's the first weekend of January in
Cool.
2024.
How many reels of filament did you go through?
Five.
And
And
each reel is how much?
2 pounds of plastic.
No, how much money?
Oh, I buy them. They're $12 a piece.
12 times 5. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I mean, if you had to buy one of those big, like the Sphinx somewhere, how much would that cost you? Roughly, what would you say?
Oh, this custom, well, the print itself would probably be $40, just the print with it colored. I mean, over $100 or painted, I should say.
Okay.
So you'll be surprised. In GalaxyCon, my friend's kid, he bought a very elaborate dragon, approximately the size of the dragon you showed us, and it cost him 20. Like, I'm sorry that I don't remember the exact number, but it was either 25, but actually think it was like 15 or 18.
Mhm.
Like, they sold it really cheap. I do not know why. Nothing on it looked
Well, it depends. It depends on how it was made, right? So the toys that you find in the store, so they have minis in the store you can buy that big publishing, uh, like the D&D Wizard of the Coast make, and you could find models between $5, $10, and all that stuff. But they get that mass produced in China. So I'm doing it here
yeah.
myself.
No, I
So
know. I know. I actually do not understand how the details were very similar to the details on yours.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it doesn't seem like the same mass production uh, uh, line of plastic casting and stuff like that.
Yeah, well,
So
maybe they just need to get rid of it. That's the thing too. Like
yeah,
if they needed to get rid of inventory, then yeah,
I mean,
I
it
would
could
cut a
be.
deal. Yeah, that's why I'm the character stuff I'm just doing for fun. There's so many people out there that are doing the character stuff, so many like actual big companies that are doing it. There's a lot of competition, so
No.
I think the thing that would set it apart is less about the character and more about how I've already painted it. Because a lot of people don't want to paint it. or they buy it thinking they are going to paint it and then they end up not doing it.
No, I like what you're doing with your business now, and I think you're on the right track, and that's awesome seeing it grow. So
Thanks. Keep people
kudos
updated.
for you, and yeah, and
Keep it up.
yep.
Got it, guys.
All right. Well, it's time. So thanks, Katie. Thanks, Gal. Thanks, Nick. Oh, he's probably already in the sun.
He's probably already drinking.
Yeah. All right. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. And change any same passwords where you use them. Stop using same passwords on different sites. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And remember, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Nick is on Wilmington, 980 The Wave in 107.9 FM with his daily news and commentary shows. You can tell your Echo device to play 980 The Wave like I do, or you can go later to the recordings on nickcraig.com. And Tuesdays, 7 p.m., Nick and Brian do the Infection Podcast on Twitch. This is for survival games and gaming news, infused with some political commentary. So Tuesdays, 7 p.m., it's twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. And again, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.